Liverpool's title hopes were given a major boost this weekend as Arsenal and Man City failed to win, while the Reds beat Aston Villa at home to move 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League. But while Liverpool's title rivals did them huge favours by dropping points, thousands of Villa fans are adamant the officials gave them a massive helping hand too by denying them not one, not two, but 3 penalties. And back, as he is every week on the Whistleblower, to dissect the big calls at Anfield, plus game-changing decisions involving Wolves, again, Southampton, Man City, Brighton, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, Crystal Palace and Man United is ex-Premier League ref and SunSport columnist Mark Halsey. Mark, wonderful to see you again. A brilliant weekend of Premier League football. The title going to Merseyside again, do you think?
I think they're looking favourites, aren't they, Liverpool? I mean, it was a fabulous weekend of football again in the Premier League, and I wouldn't say in the Championship with my team QPR getting beat again. But yeah, listen, it's a must-watch in every game. It's fantastic.
I'm resisting your calls again to make this the QPR show. I know you lost to Leeds. Liverpool 2, Aston Villa 0. We'll start with Mark. The first incident, obvious, 19 minutes in. Scores at 0-0. Leon Bailey on Mo Salah, as you can see here. Mo Salah is through on goal. Referee in this one, David Coote and VAR, Paul Tierney. Now, Salah, as you can see here, breaks through on goal. Leon Bailey, foolish, just drags him to the ground. It seems like an obvious foul and red card for everyone watching, but play carries on, and Darwin Núñez it is who takes the ball round the goalkeeper, does really well to smash it in the back of the net in front of the Kop. Now, you can see where the incident took place here. Here's Núñez in the sort of bottom left of the screen. He does well, to be fair to him, to carry on. Now, what did you make of this incident overall when you first saw it? Because there's questions about whether Bailey should have then received a yellow card after the incident, whether it was a red card at all, whether Coote played on. Lots of confusion. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, I think the worrying thing for me was that David Coote didn't even recognise it as an infringement, a foul.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because when they've gone, it's gone on to the ball's play's gone on. David Coote would then signal an advantage, and then with his arm in the air to say play on an advantage. And so obviously they've gone on and put the ball in the back of net. But from that moment when the foul was, it wasn't you wouldn't say it was an obvious goal scoring opportunity from there because of the way the direction of the play was going. But having said that, it's when you have an incident like that that's going to result in a red card, you should never ever play an advantage unless it's going to be a goal or an absolutely obvious goal scoring opportunity. Now the thing was with that, had he missed that chance, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened, because obviously with the goal being scored, VAR ain't going to go back to that because obviously they've scored a goal. But the thing for me was the worrying part was that David Coote didn't recognise that as an infringement.
Right, so just clarify then, Mark, because you're saying that if it's a red card, a referee should never be playing advantage. So are you saying that he hasn't played advantage because that's what it seemed like, and that was a good decision or a bad one?
Listen, he hasn't played an advantage because he didn't signal. So when you're playing an advantage, you have to signal. You know, you see it all the time with referees. Their arm goes up in the air to play on. So obviously when obviously they scored the goal, so you then don't go back. You won't go back then and issue a yellow card or a red card because there's no point. You're not going to go looking for trouble because at the end of it, they've scored a goal.
Yep. Okay. So just to clarify then, if it's a red card decision, as you seem to think that this one was Coote right to not play advantage, or do you think he just didn't deem it as a foul? Because there is some confusion there.
No, he's not deemed it as a foul. He's not deemed that as a foul. So that's why he's allowed to play. If he deems that as a foul, he blows up straight away.
Because it would be a red card.
It would be a sending off offence for a denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity.
Do you think that Coote managed that whole situation well then?
Well, listen, as a referee, you don't go looking for trouble, but obviously it worked for him, didn't it? It worked for him. It got him out of jail. That incident with was it Núñez going on to score? That got him out of jail.
Right, okay, fair enough. We'll move on. There's, Aston Villa colleague of mine last night, Mark, absolutely incandescent with the quality of refereeing in this game. This one caused particular chagrin among the Villa fans. Conor Bradley is with the clearest tug on the shirt of Pau Torres you'll ever see as a Villa free kick is being delivered into the box. VAR check, no penalty awarded. What are your thoughts?
Well, I thought they got away with one there, Liverpool. I have to say, I get fed up with this, listening to this sustained holding or fleeting holding. It's nonsense for me.
Yeah.
And all you ask in a game of 90 minutes in that game is consistency. Because after that, I think it was about a minute later, Kamara was cautioned for a holding offence, which was nowhere near as bad as that. So obviously in that game, David Coote wasn't consistent with his. Penalising for holding offences.
Is that
so? If he penalises Kamara, he's got to give that as a penalty. So that came before the Kamara incident. So David Coote wasn't consistent with his with penalising holding offences during that game.
Yeah, well, Unai Emery said he was sure it was a penalty. Villa fans, as I say, saying it's the clearest shirt pull you'll see. Is there any sort of call, Mark, to say that Coote may not have seen that because it's a quick passage of play and that perhaps it's VAR that should have got involved?
Yeah, listen, obviously they're in dialogue between each other during the game. And listen, I think had that penalty been given, Liverpool could have had no complaints.
Right, yet another one that infuriated Aston Villa fans, Mark. This one, Ibrahima Konaté's challenge on Ollie Watkins in the box. You can see Watkins in the midst of somewhat of a swan dive there, to be fair. But bizarrely, Aston Villa, not only were Aston Villa not awarded a penalty for that challenge when Konaté didn't get anywhere near the ball, Liverpool were actually awarded a free kick. What did you make of it?
Listen, I didn't think it was a penalty. I thought he was practicing for the Olympics.
Look at this, Look at this. Clear contact there, Mark. It's nowhere near the ball.
Yeah, but it's contact. There's contact and there's contact. And for me, it's a physical game. That's normal contact. They're side by side. It's normal contact. And I think it doesn't help the way that Watkins goes down. But what I was flabbergasted at was that the referee's given a free kick to Liverpool. I don't understand why. If he thinks that Ollie Watkins has deceived him and simulation, then he should have issued a yellow card. So I can't quite see why. If he's given a free kick to Liverpool, then you've got to say, hang on a minute, and it's got to be a penalty to Aston Villa. But for me, it's not a penalty because it's normal contact.
So, but definitely not a free kick to Liverpool, it sounds like, from your point of view. Villa fans particularly agree. David Coote, we've had a few recently, Mark, when, he's been in for a lot of criticism. He's been involved in a lot of the decisions we've spoken about on the Whistleblower. Do you think there's anything in that? Do you think he's one of our stronger referees or perhaps towards the weaker end of the roster?
Listen, I think, we've got a few quality referees. We've got some not good young referees coming through. Listen, I think he's just sort of bang average a referee in the Premier League.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, the fourth incident in this game, Mark. Pau Torres clashes with Ryan Gravenberch. It's 1-0 to Liverpool at this stage. Villa players are calling for a penalty here. Mo Salah then breaks up the other end in the same passage of play, or it results straight after this incident and scores to put Liverpool 2-0 up. Now, you can see the clash here. Torres, it seemed to me, didn't really have control of the ball. You can see Gravenberch's foot colliding with that of Torres there. I think we've got another angle that shows, that there's clear contact between the two. Look, as you can see here, somewhat sandwiched Torres then. Gravenberch leaning into him. He then breaks down the other end. Villa, again, spineless is one of the adjectives used to describe David Coote's inability to award them a penalty. This time around, that very much is the fan view. What's yours?
Yeah, listen, I just went back to the other incident with Ollie Watkins. There's contact and there's contact. And, football is a physical game. And I think if you look at that, I think the out of the three, I think that the holding offence was the blatant penalty that should have been given.
Yep.
with that one, it's subjective. I think had it been given, it most probably would have stayed given. So it's one of those. So VAR were right not to get involved in that incident, but they should have got involved with the holding offence in the penalty area from Bradley on Powell. So listen, I think out of the three, the holding offence was the most definite penalty.
Yeah, I don't think that will make my my Villa mates feel any better about that. Right, Wolves 2, Southampton 0, Mark. Barely a week goes by when Wolves aren't at the centre of some sort of officiating controversy, it seems. The referee, Thomas Bramall, VAR, Chris Kavanagh in this one. Now, we're going to start with this incident here, as you can see, right? So Southampton, Ryan Manning it is, have a goal disallowed after a VAR check. There's a collision here, as you can see, between Southampton's Mateus Fernandes and Nelson Semedo of Wolves in the build-up to the goal. Now, a goal was awarded on field for Manning's strike, and then the VAR then got involved, deemed there was a foul, bizarrely, on Semedo by Fernandes, right? Now, you can see it here. As the ball's bouncing in the box, Semedo clearly just steps across his path, yeah, to maybe shield the ball out the way. And he makes contact with the player, what I imagine you would call normal contact in football. But Fernandes has got every right to go for the ball. He doesn't particularly wipe out Semedo or anything like that. Semedo goes down making a meal of the challenge. And then the goal is ruled out. Is that a clear and obvious error that prevented and that should have led to Southampton's goal being chalked off as it was?
It's a clear and obvious error by VAR to get involved. That's for sure. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's not even a foul. It's not even a foul. And Russell Martin's got every right to be aggrieved with that incident. I mean, why is VAR getting involved in that incident? You know, I'm sure we're going to come on to the Wolves' second goal, but that is not even a foul. I keep saying it. Something is seriously wrong with the training and education with the PGMOL officials. Something is seriously wrong. We have it week in, week out. That is not a foul.
I quite agree, Mark. And you know what I think the most frustrating thing about the whole thing is, you know, we've had a few situations recently of players, and I've sort of been giving you a bit of stick about it, of players, strikers, kicking the back of a defender's leg, for example, right? Yeah. And then Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Dan Burns are one that sticks in my mind. And then the attacking team crying out for a penalty and it not being awarded because you say, oh, they kicked their leg, it's normal coming together, it's normal contact, fine. How on earth is that any different to any of those situations? Why is Fernandes expected to move out of the way? He's not expected to do that, is he? And Semedo doesn't play the ball.
Well, yeah, listen, they need to come out and explain, don't they? I mean, I'm sure that would get missed off or mic'd up with Howard Webb. I bet that gets brushed aside, that incident. So, listen, as I said, there's something seriously wrong with the training education and the coaching at the PGMOL, because if they deem that as a foul, then there's something wrong. There's something seriously wrong, I have to say.
It does seem there's a pattern, Mark, I think, of all of the things that the themes we're touching on the Whistleblower most this season. It's the sort of irregularity as and when VAR are getting involved. Listen, another big incident, or two big incidents in one in this game, Mark. 1-0 to Wolves, two separate fouls, according to Southampton, in the build-up to Wolves' second goal. The first one you can see here, Santiago Bueno pushes Mateus Fernandes in the back off the ball. And then this one, Craig Dawson, one of my favourite West Ham centre-halves of all time, known for his robust approach to players. You can see here, two fistfuls of Cam Archer's shirt, drags him to the ground somewhat. And then, shortly after this, Wolves have got the ball in the back of the net for 2-0. Give us your thoughts.
Well, again, you know, we talk about consistency with VAR and inconsistency. Now, I just cannot believe in that situation, okay, in that phase of play that leads up to the goal, VAR can look at that and recommend a review, because clearly there are two fouls in that scenario leading up to the goal. So if VAR get involved in disallowing Southampton's goal for a foul, then surely they have to get involved in this and recommend a review. I mean, you're right about Craig Dawson. I used to watch him playing at Ratcliffe Borough, and he was the same then. But they're two clear fouls. And why is VAR not getting involved in that situation? Because they clearly can, because it's leading up to the goal. So it's in that phase of play that they can check. I mean, it's absolutely nonsense disallowing the first goal, recommending the review, and then not recommending a review with that. And then obviously the referee, I think it was Tom Bramall, they've got to be strong enough when they go over to that screen and say, no, there's no foul there.
Yeah, that's what I think fans are calling for. No fans would mind that. And this is one of those games, again, it was labelled the P45 derby in the build-up between Gary O'Neill and Russell Martin, two managers whose sort of jobs are on the line, are at risk at the moment. And it's another game that's been decided by officials rather than, the sort of heart and desire and technical ability, as was shown by both teams in a very good game of footbul. Right, Mark, let's wrap up.
I've got to say, Will, I've got to say, give me a week with these referees. Give me a week.
What, you pitching yourself for the PGMOL buses gig or just chief trainer?
No, they won't have me, mate. I say it as it is.
Right, that's exactly what we're after on the Whistleblower from you, Mark, as you know. Let's wrap up with a quick-fire round, as always. So, did Josko Gvardiol's block here with his hand for Danny Welbeck's shot warrant a penalty which wasn't awarded at Brighton?
No, not for me, because he was on the ground and his arm was in the natural position on the floor. So, correct not to give a penalty.
Fair enough. This one here, Kyle Walker, shove in the back of João Pedro as he threw a goal. Pedro doesn't go down, he carries on, got the shot away, but he was claiming for a penalty afterwards. Should a penalty have been awarded to Brighton here?
No, listen, you can see them side by side, and when they got a defender and attacker in that motion, for me, it's normal contact, and correctly, penalty wasn't given.
Ah, come on, Mark, he shoved him in the back. I'm not having your normal contact all season long. Ryan Yates.
Subjective.
I might ban the word subjective, I think, the second half of the season. Right, Ryan Yates from Nottingham Forest here. He was already on a yellow card. Newcastle fans could not understand how he didn't get sent off first for a second yellow for a perceived elbow on the face of Tino Livramento. And then this here, a studs-up, knee-high challenge on Sean Longstaff. We've seen similar things given straight reds for in the past, but he somehow stayed on the pitch. Was that the correct decision?
Listen, I thought we were extremely lucky not to receive a yellow card for a reckless use of the arm early on in the game. I think Sean Longstaff has done him a massive favour there, an absolutely massive favour, because he's carried on, he hasn't gone down. He goes down, and you could arguably say that should have been a red card for serious foul play, because as we've spoken before, when you're challenging that high in contact with the knee, it's a career-threatening challenge. But I think Longstaff does him a massive, massive favour.
Fair enough. Last one, Mark. Daichi Kamada, Crystal Palace's Daichi Kamada, studs up challenge. Very, very high indeed on Fulham's Kenny Tete. I don't really feel I need to ask you whether that was a correct decision or not. I assume you think that was a red card. But what I'm confused about is how that is a red card and this from Lisandro Martinez on Cole Palmer last week is not. I want you, I'm assuming, Mark, to talk to me about consistency here.
Listen, they're both red cards. Clearly red cards for serious foul play. There's no argument with the Crystal Palace one. No one can complain about that. Had he not sent him off, VAR would definitely got involved in that situation. And as I say, Martinez was extremely lucky, wasn't he? So, and we go on about consistency. But all we're talking about is inconsistency with VAR and decisions, and when to get involved and when not to get involved.